In today's interview, I talk with Liz from Book Art Studios. We discuss how she became a book artist, how she is an internationally published author, what she enjoys most about being an artist, and she gives some sage advice for business owners. So this afternoon, I'm interviewing Liz from Book Art Studios. Hi, Liz.
Hi Jenny, how are you?
I'm great, thanks. And how are you?
I am fabulous, thank you.
That's good. So, could you kindly tell us a little bit about what Book Art Studios is and how you got into doing
How long have you got?
that?
Well, Book Art Studios is one studio. I don't actually know why I ever put the S on the end. Maybe I thought I might have a chain of them one day. And I create handmade books and journals, and I also teach people how to make books and journals as well. I'm also an author, the author of One Small Drop and DIY Notebooks Made Easy, and another one on the way. We've got a third one on the way, Recreate. And how long have I been doing this? Was that what the question was? Sorry.
Well, how did you get into a bit?
Oh, how did I get into it? That's right.
Yeah.
This is my third business now, and my second business was doing career coaching and life coaching. And I met someone who made books, and I was really excited about that. So I basically started it as a hobby and then just career counseled myself out of being a career counselor and to a book artist. So that's how that came about.
Right. So, how long did you say you've been doing it for? Sorry.
It's about 12 years now for this
Oh,
business. So I've been self employed since I was 24,
right.
so not that long ago, over 30 years. Um, and this business has been 12 years, the hardest one of all, but the most enjoyable.
Why would you say it's the hardest?
Well, I started it in a recession, and it was a niche business in in a country that focuses on sport mainly, men's sport. So it was kind of like, could I be any more niche and little with a tiny little audience, virtually no audience really, and just grew it from there. So it was kind of like, if you can start a business in a recession with a niche, doing a niche product, then pretty much you should be able to do it anytime, anywhere. Yeah. So it's hard work. I mean, business is hard work anyway.
Yes.
Being an artist and making a living from art is hard as well. So when you put the two together, it's kind of like a little bit of a double whammy. But I like a challenge.
So what aspect do you enjoy, or I guess there may be many aspects of what you do. What do you enjoy about it?
Oh gosh, I enjoy that I get to play. My first business was an early childhood centre, and I used to work obviously with children. And then when I retired from that, I became a career coach and started working with adults. And I was really shocked at how little creativity and play they seem to have in their lives. So when I started Book Art Studios, it was a kind of a license to be a grown up and to play and create. So that would be the part of it, that I love the most. But I just also love making things happen. I love being able to say, I'll create I'll go to Frankfurt Book Fair, I'll write a book, I'll produce it. I just love the freedom of the projects that I do, and some of them are pretty meaty, and some of them not so much. But it's just fun. It's just fun, really.
So you would encourage anybody to give it a go?
Give what a go, creativity or running a
Yeah,
business or oh, definitely. And creativity comes in all sorts of shapes and sizes. I mean, I know I made a joke at the beginning about New Zealand being a country where it focuses on sports. If sports is your thing and it fills you up and you feel joyful and have a great time, then do more of it. So really, it's creativity comes in many forms. So it's whatever that means to you. Yes, I would definitely encourage people to pursue that.
so you make books and you dye paper,
Hmm.
and what else do you do?
What else do I do? Um, well, I've just started to run online classes, and that's been a whole other level of and just another level of full of challenges because I'm quite comfortable with technology to a certain degree, but I had to learn how to do for one aspect of it, I had to learn how to do overhead filming. And so I designed this extraordinary. I mean, I'm sure they'll put it in a museum one day and say this is what they did in 2020 when they couldn't get out and buy equipment for overhead filming. So there was that in which the cat came and stole the show, and but then actually running live classes, and I did a series of free ones to start with
Yeah,
to find out how it worked, and then I did a 3 hour one called I Died Again. And that was with a group of people who I knew.
yeah.
So they'd all done the first part. So that was actually really good because I was quite relaxed because I knew them. And I knew that if I blew it or made a mistake, we'd all just laugh about it. But yeah, the situation as it is at the moment and has pushed me into sort of earlier into an area that I was kind of dipping my toes into but not jumping into.
And so you're quite are you
Sorry.
comfortable with, sorry, what was that?
So that was a long rambly answer.
Oh, no,
Hopefully I
all right,
answered it.
that's fine. So you're quite comfortable with doing the online thing now?
Well, because I started Book Art Studios TV probably about 2 years ago now, at least 18 months ago, and that's live. So you've really got no, you can only keep going forwards. You can't stop and go back and retake and do a different angle, and it's literally just you in front of your phone. So even though it's been at times terrifying, especially when things have gone wrong and they do, and having to think on your feet in front of an audience, it's given me a lot of confidence in terms of not being afraid to face the camera and just talk about what I know. I think if you're talking about what you know and
Yeah.
what you love, you're halfway there anyway.
Yeah. Well,
So,
yeah, that's one of the reasons why I'm sort of throwing myself in the deep end doing these videos to get
yeah.
over that fear.
And
And
you're being kind to yourself by videoing it, and then you're doing it in a gentle lead in. I'm an Aryan, and apparently Aryans just chuck themselves in and then realize they can't swim, and then have to basically learn while they're in 10 feet of water.
there must, I must be the outlier then because I'm also an Aryan.
Oh, right. Are you on the cusp or whatever? Not that I follow these things, but
So, you mentioned something or other TV? What's that?
oh, Book Art Studios TV. So that started out as an experiment. I did a class learning how to use your smartphone for filming. And what came out as a result of that was that So this was about, yeah, it's over 2 years ago. And our tutor, Michelle from Show and Tell Video, she told us that the way of the way Facebook was going, they were really favoring posts that did video, and especially live, because it was something new that they were rolling out. So if you were doing it, they were going to push it because they want to push people to use it. So I thought, oh, I'll give that a go. And honestly, I was hopeless. I had nothing to say. I had no content prepared.
Uh,
I tried to do demonstrations, and my little gorilla stand fell over numerous times, and people were treated to a view of the ceiling. I accidentally filmed before I realized I was filming, and I filmed at my nose. I mean, someone's dog pushed me over in the middle of an interview. So, I mean, there was just so much really. But so it started out as me experimenting and then realizing that it had to actually have a name. So I thought, well, just call it Book Art Studios TV, and then it kind of keeps it all relevant and the branding and what have you. And then I realized that I couldn't do demonstrations every week because I'd basically be giving everything away. And we are businesses, we do need to earn a living. So then I thought I would interview guests, and then I thought, well, why not give it seasons like a TV show, and then it gives myself time to build up a um, new rota of guests, because I don't like doing it week by week. I like to know in advance who's coming, and then it just takes the pressure off. So it started as an experiment and actually morphed into Book Art Studios TV, and it's usually every Friday at 7 p.m. on Facebook.
oh, yes, that's great when I remember to tune in and the internet's going well.
Good.
So you mentioned classes. What sort of things do you teach in those classes?
I teach people how to make books. So I've got a variety of classes. Some are, one day classes, some are weekend classes, and then right up to book camp, which goes over 4 days. And that's book camp. I've got Book Camp Australia in Queenscliff, in just outside of Melbourne, and Book Camp New Zealand, which is held in Oratia in West Auckland. And everything in between. I might do a free 1 hour class online, and then teaching people how to make a book and how to do the binding. So we'll go through the construction of it and the decorating and the putting together. But the classes take place in my studio, and which is at home. And they're little, and they're fun, and they're interesting. And I have quite an eclectic style, and it allows people to be really experimental. And the students who come to me like it because they can be quite free. My style is very loose and very free, so we're not being really precise and making sure everything has to measure. Not that there's anything wrong with that, and there are people who do that and they do it really well, and they will teach you how to do that. But if that's not your style, then people come to me.
So would you say that you are the type of person that loves to give something a go?
Yes, to my detriment usually. Well, yes, I have to say that. If it's something I want to do, I mean, if it's not something I want to do, then no. Obviously, I have to want to do it. I mean, when I look back at my career, I was 24 when I bought my first business and pregnant with my daughter, and had no experience of running a business, and was over here in New Zealand alone. And, um, you know, I gave it a go.
Yeah.
I built up a business and brought up a child by myself. So, yeah, I have to want to do it. And if I want to do it and I'm committed, then I'm all in there.
What would you say to somebody though that was sort of thinking of doing business of any sort, but they're like, oh, I'm too old, or I haven't got the skills, or nobody's gonna. What would you say to them?
Well, you just have to ask yourself, are you doing it for the right reasons? That would be the first thing I would say. It's interesting. I just recently listened to a podcast, Holly Tucker, who's English, and she interviewed someone who said, at this time, at this moment in time in history, if you're a business that's in it for the money, then you're going to be completely lost and cut adrift. But if you're a business that's in it to serve, to extend yourself, to reach people, to help people, to give. I mean, I used to say to people, you give business, you don't get business. So if you have that kind of an attitude, then you will thrive and you'll get through it, because that's the right kind of thinking that you need. So if you go into a business with that kind of an attitude where you're not really thinking of yourself, you're thinking of others, what can I do to help people? Whether it's something that you make, whether you make, beautiful hummus and think, oh, I really want to make this and give it out to the world, or you're a baker or you're a painter, whatever your thing is, if you tell yourself that it's something that you want to give of yourself to the world, I think that attitude can actually overcome a lot of obstacles. And the insignificant ones, I'm too old, I'm too young, I'm too blah blah blah, kind of just fall by the wayside, because you see that they're just built on sand anyway.
Great advice there. Thank you, Liz. If they were wanting to start an art business, though, any advice there?
Don't. I'm joking, of course. I it's like anything. I mean, you hit the nail on the head when you said, what if they wanted to start an art business? Running an art business is a business, and that's what a lot of artists don't seem to necessarily realize. So it's either a hobby or it's a business.
Mm.
Personally, I don't see anything if it. I remember going to a creative morning talk once, and someone summed it up beautifully when he said, if your business is not making money, it's a hobby. And I think there was a collective gasp in the room, kind of, oh, I'm doing a hobby. And he was just being completely honest. So, and there's no shame in that. The hobbies are fantastic. But if you want to create an income from what you're doing, then it has to be a business, because a
Yes.
business has to earn money. So it's it's quite unusual for someone to enter an art business and go out all guns blazing and be selling and earning from that, overnight. So I heard someone say the other day, I'm an 8-year overnight success. People were saying, oh, he's an overnight success. And he said, yeah, it's only taken 8 years. So my advice would be, stick with the day job if you can. Make sure you have an income already coming in, because what I learned about being I did the starving artist experience. When you're desperate, you set your prices too low. You end up working for hours and hours and you don't get the money that actually you should be paid for. You say yes to things that really you should be saying no to. And they all kind of distract you and take your focus away from where you want to be. So if you have got some kind of an income coming in, if someone says, oh, I mean, I've had people say, oh, can you make me a book for, I've got $35. What can I get for that? Now I'll say, well, where's your nearest Wickles? You know, um, depending on
Yeah.
what they want. When they're saying I want a custom made book and blah 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 blah. I mean, I'm not normally quite as blunt as that, but I have been. And but when I was desperate, I'd think, oh my God, $35, that will go towards the power bill, or, So keep your day job if you can, or what I say to people is, if you've got a full-time job, can you go from 5 days to 4 longer days?
Yeah.
So you're still working the same amount of hours, but you give yourself a whole day, and you say that day is the day you work on your business, and you do everything you can to focus on that.
Mm.
That would be my biggest piece of advice. Stick with an income coming in, save something, have something as a backdrop, and also have a really, I mean, I know there's a joke, it says, if you want to make God laugh, make plans. But there's nothing wrong with having goals and visions of where you
Mm.
want to go,
Mm.
and then being prepared to be flexible along the way if you get sort of blown off course slightly, like we all have at the moment, you know. But those of us who are used to being flexible and going where, you know, where we need to go at the time are fine. So my advice would be, have a goal in mind, and just every time you're doing something, ask yourself, is this helping me to get to that goal?
Great advice, thank you, Liz, because I think a lot of people think that starting a business you're going to have overnight success, but it doesn't work that way.
Let me tell you a funny story. So I've been one of 7,000 exhibitors at Frankfurt Book Fair. I've written two books, one of which is in German and English. I am technically an internationally published author. I have been in magazines and blah, blah, blah. And during this time when we were all staying at home, I was exhibiting at the top of my driveway each week. And so I was putting out these, I thought, really amazing displays of my work, and, you know, this is who I am, this is what I do. And then one day I had an Easter meets apothecary kind of really amazing theme. And this little girl went past on the bike, stopped, looked over her shoulder, and shouted to her mum, "Mum, look, it's a garage sale!" So, you know, you can't take yourself seriously, can you, really?
No, not at all. So, if people want to find out about a bit more about you and your classes, what's the best place to find you?
Well, I do have a website, which is bookartstudios.co.nz. And then from there on, they can look at me, look at my work on Instagram. There's links to Instagram and Facebook as well. And so that would be the first place to go to, especially if they want to look at the kind of classes I do or the kind of books I have for sale. That would be the best place to go to.
And everybody should sign up for one of Liz's classes because they're so much fun, and you, yeah, get to meet other people and learn lots.
Yeah, and do you know what? The people who come to my classes are so inclusive, and I think that's why they come back. They walk around, they look at each other's work. If they come across something, they'll say, "Oh, look what I've just done," and they'll share the technique with those people who are around them. With Guiding on to Heaven, we have a secret, she says, a secret Facebook group. But what by that, what I mean is, if you've done the class, you can go into the group, and everyone in there is so um, creative and encouraging and supportive of each other, and they'll share something, and then someone will say, "How did you do that?" You know, so the
Mm.
learning is ongoing in those kind of classes, and a lot of them have never met, and they might not even ever meet. But there's just such a lovely community that's
It is,
kind of
yeah,
born out of Book Art Studios. Yeah,
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 great community.
it really is. It
Mm.
really is, of which you are a part of, which is lovely.
So, thank you very much for your time today, Liz, and have a good day.
You too. Thank you for inviting me on your adventure with you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Jenny. Talk to you again soon.